Hey guys, welcome to the first episode on this brand new series of how to create a game from start to finish, where I will take you through the whole process. So if it's something you'd like to follow, then please consider to subscribe to my channel and click that bell button to get notified every time I upload a new video. By the end of this video, you'll get to know the basic controls and the layout of Unity, and also to get a better understanding on game objects and to apply physics to all the objects in our current scene. So without further ado, let's get started.
First things first, head over to unity3d.com and start to download Unity. Under licenses, choose the personal license and click Get Started. Just click Start here, agree to the terms and conditions and start to download Unity 3D. Once you have installed Unity Hub, go under Installs and install the latest version of Unity. You can click the Add button to add the latest official release. Once you have selected the latest release, click Next, add all the modules that you want to install. I would recommend you use Microsoft Visual Studio Community 2019. Under Platforms, you can add all the platforms that you want to build on and click Done. When the installation is finished, go into Projects and let's create a new 3D project. Under the templates, choose the 3D template. We can easily switch to 2D with a few basic adjustments. Now let's create a name for our project. Let's call this My First Game. Let's choose a location for our project and click Create. So this is how Unity will look the first time you open Unity. Now let's begin to explore the user interface. You can change the layout of Unity easily by clicking the drop down button in the top right corner and select a different layout. Personally, I like the tall layout, but this is completely up to you. You can choose whatever layout you like the most. Later in this series, I will go a bit deeper as to why I like to use the tall layout. You can drag the game panel anywhere you like. This will let you see the game and the scene view at the same time. Now on the left, we have the scene view. You can use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. You can also use the middle mouse button to pan around, and you can pivot around the center of your view by holding down Alt and left mouse button. The hierarchy panel will display all the current game objects that we have in our scene. By default, you will start with two game objects, the main camera and the directional light. Notice when I click on a game object, it will display the properties for the selected game object in the inspector, and this will display all the components that's currently on the game object. We will get into more details a little later. We also have the project panel down here that shows all the different assets that we can easily drag into our scene, making it appear in our hierarchy. Now let's begin to build our game. To start off, we will need a ground that the player can start on. To do that, go into your hierarchy panel, right click under 3D objects and choose the cube. This spawns a new cube onto our scene. Then we can use the movement tools to look at it. We can quickly look at the game object by selecting it and press F while your mouse is in the scene view. But first, let's center the cube. Right click on the transform and click reset. You can now see that it has 0 on the X, 0 on the Y and 0 on the Z. Once again, you can quickly look at the game object by selecting it and press F. Sometimes when you start Unity, the default lighting will be turned off, making the object appear grey. To fix this, go into your lighting panel. If you don't see the lighting panel, go under Window, Rendering and select Lighting. This will open the lighting panel. Then at the bottom of the lighting panel, just switch on Auto Generate, and this will fix the default lighting. Now note, we have the tools on the top left corner. We can move it, rotate it and scale it out. You can also quickly cycle through the tools by pressing W, E and R. Now let's scale our cube on the X-axis by 50 and on the Z-axis by 5. Let's rename this to ground and create a new object which will be our player. You can easily rename the cube. By selecting it, press F2 and rename this to ground. Now let's create another cube which will be our player. You can go to the plus sign under 3D objects and create a new cube. Let's rename this to player and also reset its transform. Then you can drag the player up by dragging this green arrow upwards. Let's focus on it and we can see that our player is now on the ground. Now let's make him a bit more visible, because right now everything is pretty boring white. To do that, we need to assign a new material to our player. Go into your project panel, right click and create a new material. Let's call this player and mat for material. Let's change its color to red. Then we can simply drag our player material onto our player to assign the material to our player. Now, if we drag our player up and press play, we can see that absolutely nothing happens. And that's because we haven't told our player to interact with Unity physics. To do this, we need to exit player mode and create a new component. Simply add a new component called rigid body. Now if we hit play, we can see that the player falls down. Awesome! Let's move our player down. We can also try to duplicate him. Let's select our player and press Ctrl and D to duplicate the player. Let's move this one up and slightly to the left. And also we can bring the camera a little bit closer by dragging the blue arrow. And also upwards by dragging the green arrow. And I think that looks great. Now let's press play and see how they interact with each other. Awesome! Now let's get into why they behave like this. And the reason for this is because all of the components that's added to the object. If we select the game object and look in the inspector, you will see all its components. You will see the transform on all the objects. This just keeps track of its position, rotation and scale. And the rest is all optional. You have the mesh renderer, which is responsible for displaying the object in our scene. If we disable the mesh renderer, the game object will still be in our scene, but it will not be visible. And let's switch back the mesh renderer to see the game object again. The box collider makes the object interact with other objects in the scene. If we disable the box collider and press play, then the object will fall straight through all the objects. So remember, if we want realistic physics, we will need both the collider and rigid body, and in order to see it, we need a mesh renderer. The mesh filter is used for one simple thing, and that is for choosing the shape of our object. Right now, you can see that it has the cube selected. We can easily change it if we click the little ball here. We can select between the cube, a capsule, cylinder, plane, the sphere, etc. So let's change it to a sphere. And note that it changed to a sphere in a game scene. But note that it still has a box collider attached. To fix this, we need to remove the box collider and add a new sphere collider. Notice that I'm using search to make it more easy to find. And now if we hit play, we can see that it collides with the box, and that's just going to roll off the ground object. You can also adjust values while playing. But just remember, when you exit play mode, this will reset any adjustments that you made during play mode. The last thing that I want to do is to delete the ball and make the scene a bit prettier by changing the skybox. Let's select the main camera and adjust the skybox to a solid color. Let's change the color to a light gray. This is not the best look, and I think that this looks a little bit better. By the way I maximize the game view is something that you will see me do a lot of times. To do this, you can simply press Shift and Space. Finally, to save our game, we can press Ctrl and S, or we can go under File and Save As. Then we need to name our scene something, and scenes in Unity is basically levels, so we will just call this Level 1. And click Save. You can see now that the scene appears in our project panel. That's about all that I could fit into this video.
In the next episode, we will dive into some programming. Once again, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And remember to subscribe to my channel. And click that bell button to get notified every time I upload a new video. And also, if you're a fan of this channel, then please support me over at patreon.com. Just go to patreon.com/mjdev. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.